don't be afraid to be vulnerable. A lot of times, especially with men, we put up this facade and this gated feeling of like not wanting to let someone into who we are. You know what I mean? So I would tell myself definitely don't fall for that. Don't think being vulnerable is a sign of weakness. Ironically, it was during the time after I graduated from college, and I came back onto the campus to do some work as I was transitioning from being a college student to being a radio personality in the area, and we kind of met organically that way. Kind of saw each other throughout the years on campus, but never really had any sort of like conversation per se. But it wasn't until after I left and came back onto campus that things kind of fell into place that way. I enjoyed just her, man. Her authenticity, her willingness to be patient with me and allow me to more or less understand the benefits and the ups and the downs of being in a relationship, and the fact that she taught me a lot. You know what I mean? Because I think a lot of times when we get into these relationships as men, we always want to feel like we know it all and that we're going to be in control of everything, and not necessarily 9 times out of 10 that's not true. You know what I mean? So it's like I was just enamored with the fact that she was a teacher, and not only just a teacher, but she was like I said, she was patient with me, and she allowed me to come along at my pace. And to be honest with you, it's probably the most fruitful and beneficial relationship that I've ever had. What went wrong? Well, I mean, you're looking at him. I was the end all be all of the issues. I think for the most part it was just the fact that I was young and not understanding the benefits and the values of being in love. And a lot of times we always say you don't realize that you're in love until the situation is over with, and that's how it was for me. I was so focused on all these other things related to my career, and I kind of just wanted to put everything on the back burner, and unfortunately, I was the reason for the relationship to end. Well, what happened was actually I had just got my first full-time radio gig, so I had moved and I was living in a different state, and we tried to do the long distance thing, but in my mind, being young at that time, 20-something years old, I'm thinking, okay, here I am, my first full-time radio job, my first apartment, my first time being away. Man, all these great things are going to happen to me because I'm, doing radio in this new city. I'm going to be in these clubs, yada, yada, yada. Basically, what I was doing was just, self-sabotaging and making excuses for something, because I think in my heart of heart, I really did think that I wasn't ready per se. Especially for that challenge of being away. Now, if we were in the same situation in the same area, I think everything would have been, copacetic, but it just didn't work out that way. And the irony of things, I'll show you how, things work out. 7 months later, I found myself back in the city after I left that radio station, and I tried my hardest to make things work. But I think at that point in time, I had already just screwed everything up. Funny thing is like I kind of set that relationship as the bar for all the other relationships that I tried to, venture into. But I also beat myself up for years based off of that. You know what I'm saying? Because I just thought like I just had something perfect and I screwed it up. And then I didn't know if that perfection in my mind of perfection of a relationship would ever, rear its head again. And so I just spent the years, honestly, chasing something I couldn't catch. Lessons that I definitely learned from this experience is the fact that one, be open-minded, never just say no to certain situations, be mindful of other people's feelings, definitely be a listener and not a talker, and don't lead by your well, let me take that back. Some people always say, don't lead by your heart, lead by this. But sometimes it's vice versa. You got to let this, lead you to certain places, because this feeds this, So if your heart's feeding your mind, then you're going to realize certain things that are meant for you, certain things that aren't meant for you, and, so forth and so on. And that kind of like, going through that experience and other, relationships throughout my, life, kind of created where I was able to, write my book, Last Request, because it's a story loosely based off of me, about a man who's going through a journey of finding love and understanding, what love is all about. Not even from the love that he's receiving from the main female interest or main female character in the book, but that lost in love that he wasn't receiving from other particular people in his life, So, that those lessons was the birth of Last Request, which is available now everywhere books are sold. If I was to talk to younger 22-year-old Stretch, first thing I would tell him is to shut up. That's the first thing. Just, don't think that you know everything. Be able to sit down and, again, be receptive and have an open ear and let the person who's talking talk. You just listen and then you respond. I think I would tell my younger self too is, don't be afraid to be vulnerable. A lot of times, especially with men, we put up this facade and this gated feeling of like not wanting to let someone into who we are. You know what I mean? So I would tell myself, definitely don't fall for that. Don't think being vulnerable is a sign of weakness. Another thing I would say to myself is definitely just be you. Just be you, because if you try to create all these different sort of, entities of who you think you are, instead of just being your authentic self, then you're truly definitely not going to be able to, flourish in any sort of relationship, because that person they're not going to know who they're really, what they're really getting. Fourth thing I would tell my younger self is to be able to communicate effectively. I think a lot of times, especially when we're younger, we think that it's better to kind of just like hold things in and wait till things start to build up and boil over. Then that's when we want to have conversations, and by that time things are just all over the place. So if you feel that you need to have this conversation and have it with a person, have it, but also be ready to accept what comes out of that conversation. And the fifth thing I would tell myself is, plain and simple, just don't be a dummy. Don't be a dummy, because dummies never win. And that's it.